Yo, welcome back to No Picture Podcast. It's Coughlin.
Yo, what's up, Miss Car?
And yeah, man, first off, before we get into everything, we all know it's Sunday, and today is not no ordinary Sunday. It's Mother's Day. So, I want to shout out to all the guy, all the girls, all the women out there who are, mothers in their lives, or not even mothers yet, but are soon becoming mothers, right? So, I just want to give a quick shout out for all the mothers out there. But with that said, let's get right into it. So we got the Nuggets and Wolves. Start us off, Kai.
Yeah, man. You know, listen, you can't say I didn't call it, right? When you talk
Mm-hmm.
about, being down 0-2 and fighting back, right? Like, people forget these are the defending champs for a reason. And when you are a defending champ, you get the benefit of the doubt, right? They went down 2 games, and with this game 4 win, they fight back. Read out some stats for you. Jokic, 35 points, 7 assists, 7 rebounds, 4 stocks. Virtuoso. Aaron Gordon, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 stocks, shot 11 for 12 from the field. And for majority of the game, he did not miss. I think his very last shot he missed or whatever.
Exactly.
Shot 2 for 2 from 3.
Mm-hmm.
Jamal Murray, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 stocks. Big time half court 3.
Yes.
Man, like right before the buzzer, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when you think about it, right? Also before I get to that point, also off the bench, Justin Holiday, he had 10 points. He shot 3 for 5 from the 3-point line. Right, we
Mm-hmm.
have Michael Porter Jr. really not being able to get his offense going. Being able to get
Mm-hmm.
points like that off the bench is crucial. But to the Jamal Murray point, with that 3, it capped off an 8-point run by
Mm-hmm.
the Denver Nuggets. And when you think about it, right, the Nuggets won by 8 points. So that was huge, and that's why I love playoff basketball so much, because every single basket counts, every single possession matters, right? On the Timberwolves side, Anthony Edwards, 44 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 stocks, shot 5 for 8 from 3-point line. It just seems like this, he just could not miss, man. Like,
Yeah.
everything that was coming off his fingertips were net.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing to watch. But the issue is, right, he's the only person that showed up offensively for
Yep.
Minnesota. This has been the story of the Minnesota Timberwolves for the entirety of the season, right? It's a reason why they were a highly ranked defense, but a pretty much a middle of the pack ranked offense, because
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Edwards is the only guy that routinely shows up, right? Karl Anthony Towns, he's supposed to be, the 1B, 2, 13 points, 12 rebounds. He shot 5 for 18 from the field and shot 1 for 5 from 3. At one
Yeah.
point in this game, he was shooting 1 for 10, right? Like, you can't have a performance like that, right? You're talking about an 8-point game here, right? Like, don't get me wrong. It was definitely, I believe Denver at one point was up by, I think 18 was the most they were up by.
Yeah.
But listen, the Minnesota was fighting throughout this entire game. Like, it was never, even when they were down bad, it never really felt like the game was over. And you just really wish that, especially alongside this, Anthony Edwards performance, that you got somebody that stepped up. But unfortunately, it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, for sure. And just to quickly, go on about that is that when you look at the bench, you got the Timberwolves. Well, you got the Timberwolves. The only 2 people scored from the bench. That was Naz Reid getting you 11 points, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker getting you only 2 points, right? And then you compare that to the Nuggets bench. They got way more than that. They got the grand total of let's see here. You got 11 from Braun, uh, 10 from Holiday, and 6 from Reggie. That's 26 points off the bench, right? And you already know that the what's it called? That Towns and Conley wasn't shooting well, right? And so you look at Conley and Towns, they combined for 10 and 30. That's very, very bad, right? And having like that, and we've seen from games 1 and 2, especially, right, where Naz Reid and Nickeil Alexander Walker and a couple other people from the bench were able to just get use some bench points, and you know, much appreciated from that, right? And Towns, you know, he's been struggling a little bit these last two games, in game three, game four, coming back home, and you know, it's it's really interesting to see how the Wolves were, I guess, like the series is now flipped up on their on their head. And so, you know, now they're the ones on a 2 game losing streak, and coming back home, or rather they're going. Let me see, are they going back home? Or no, they're going back to the Nuggets, I think, right? Yeah, so they're going back away. So it's going to be really hard now, because now now the Nuggets got momentum, and you guys just are like trying to figure things out from there. And shout out to the Nuggets though. I mean, you said it, I said it. This is the reason why they're defending champions, man. You can never count them out. And when people started to say, "Oh, it could be a sweep, bring out the brooms," that's just something. It's like poking the bear. You don't poke the
Mhm.
bear, right? And so when you give a defending champion some more motivation, right? And Moses Malone, the coach, he mentioned about it in a press conference, and it just goes to show you that stuff like that, it can light a fire under some people, right? And
Yeah.
so for sure, shout out to the Nuggets going, taking the series 2-2, and it's gonna be interesting the rest of the way.
Yeah, yeah, like you hit it right on the head. Like this is not the Phoenix Suns. You know what I mean? The Phoenix
No.
Suns are fucking ass. I was never a believer in that team, and it did not blow me away that the fact that they got swept. I
Hmm.
definitely did not see them as a real threat out west. But again, this is a different beast because in my opinion, these are the top two teams out west. Like this very easily could have been, and in my opinion, should have been the Western Conference Final. Like these again are the two best teams out west, and could argue top three teams in the entire league, right? So when you're playing a team like that, you can't let up, right? And unfortunately, that's what Minnesota has done in these last two games. Where if they take either game three or game four, you're looking at the end of this series, right? But they gave Denver life, and this is what they were. This is what they've been waiting for. This is what they've been preparing for. Um, but I mean, and you could say this is a bold take or a bold, prediction, but I feel as though Game Five is the most pivotal game of this series so far. In my opinion,
100%.
whoever wins Game Five wins this series. I feel as
Hmm.
though it's gonna come down to Game Five, right? It's gonna come down to Game Five. It's either Denver is gonna build on this newfound momentum that they just built, or Minnesota is gonna show that they're able to bounce back, get another win on the road, and close out this series.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just going to see that, like, who knows? This could be it's definitely going to be at least a 6 game series, but it could be a 7 game series, which I predicted it would go 7. So it's going to be really interesting how that all goes. But talk about another series on the other side of the conference. Talk about the Knicks and the Pacers, man. Knicks and Pacers. Whew. Let's just say, you know, before I'll get game three in a little bit, but game four, what a belt has type of game, man. Like, you talking about off the jump, the the Pacers were not missing at all, right? And it goes to show, like, everybody were cooking, especially people from the bench, Opie Toppin, right, TJ McConnell, right, and then even Isaiah Jackson, off the bench as well, right? Especially like down the stretch, I think near the end of the game, he got a crucial block on, I think it was like either Brunson or Dante, something like that, and you know everybody was just cooking. I'm pretty sure they scored 30 points at least for the first 3 quarters. Like at halftime, it was 69-41,
Yep.
right? And you would think that maybe the gap would kind of go a little bit closer. No, it got even larger. Like
Yep.
the score of the game by the end of the third quarter was 63-101. Game is wraps. It's wraps. It's no way you're coming back from almost like 30 points, or no, not even 30 points, 40, almost 40 points,
Yep.
right? And so at that point, put in the bench players, and then just ride from there. And it just goes to show that, like, the Pacers. We said that the one thing we wanted to see from the Pacers in general throughout the whole playoffs is Tyrese Halliburton need to be more aggressive and show up, right? And boy, did, right?
Yep.
Especially game three. You want to go back to game three. Um, he played really well. He had 35 points. He had 7 assists. 2 steals and a block, right?
Yep.
And especially from the last pod that we had, we knew that OG Anobi, who's hurt, so he's not going to play Game 3, and it showed. And it showed. Siakam, he went off, 26 points, 7 rebounds, right? And it was a little back. Game 3 was a little bit different from Game 4, of course, a lot tighter.
Mhm.
But in the end, shout out to Nimhart, had a dagger 3 from deep, and you know he said that he meant to do that, and he didn't just shoot it up just to shoot it. But it is what it is, right? I love the
Shoot.
confidence, exactly, right? He was shooting pretty bad from the field too. I think it was like 1 for 8 on the field, and then shoot. It doesn't matter. Like I said, in these playoffs, it doesn't matter about how well you're playing in certain points of the game, but when it comes down to a certain moment and you show up, we're just gonna forget about what happened other day. We always care about what actually happens in certain moments, right? So shout out to Nimhard about that. But yeah, Pacers just dominated pretty much the rest of the way, and then now you go back to the Knicks, and we'll see how they go from there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just to put in perspective, just how bad of a night this was for New York. I mean, Jalen Brunson. You talk about a guy that's been scorching earth this entire playoff series. He
Mm-hmm.
really went cold this game. I mean, 18 points, 5 assists, shooting 6 for 17 from the field, 0 for 5 from three. Josh Hart, right, a guy that has been playing out of his mind. He had a crash down to earth moment, right? 2 points, and I feel like the biggest thing is he only played 24 minutes, right? You're talking about a
Yeah.
guy that typically plays the entire game, but that just goes to show how out of control this game got so fast to where it was just no point in keeping him in the game that long, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, 2 points, shot 1 for 6 from the field, 0 for 2 from three. Dante DiVincenzo, 7 points, shot 3 for 13 from the field, 1 for 6 from three. Right, these are your three heavy hitters, especially with Randall being out, especially with OG being out. Like these are your guys, and again, they just could not get anything going. Um, like you said, two guys from the Pacers side that just routinely we have been saying their names is Obi Toppin and TJ McConnell. TJ
Yep.
McConnell with a double double, 15 points, 10 rebounds. Obi Toppin with 14 points off the bench. Um, like when these guys are playing like this, and again when the Knicks can't hit the wide side of a fucking barn, like the Knicks shot 33% from the field, 18% from the 3 point line.
Jeez, man.
I don't care if you're playing your local rec team at the YMCA. If you're shooting 18% from 3 point line, you're not going to win the game. Especially when your opponent, the Pacers, are shooting 56% from the field and 45% from three. That
Yeah.
is one of the biggest percentage discrepancies that you will ever see, right?
Yep.
But again, that was the game right there. The Knicks could not find their shot, and the Pacers couldn't miss.
Yeah, and then just last thing, just to add on top of that, and as much as you want to talk about how bad the Knicks shot, I do want to credit a little bit about the Pacers defense. Like we've been saying that the Pacers, they're not really, especially at least this season, they haven't been really known to be like a defensive team, rather, right? Like you can definitely see that they have players that can play great defensively in an ISO situation, right? But they just haven't played like great team defense, right? But and that said, I've seen some things that they started to go in certain moments in the game, like they'll go to zones, 3-2 zone. They'll play different disguises coverages, stuff like that, right? And so I credit to the coach about that, making in game adjustments for sure. But at the end of the day, if I had to choose whether it was a game plan or was it like bad shooting night, I kind of want to lean shooting night because when you look at the shooting discrepancies, like you said, it was just way, way off.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about keeping it out east, right? Celtics Cavs, right? Boston goes up 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be real with you. I have not watched a single minute of this series. Um, Unfortunately, it's just hard for me to get up for this series, especially out east, right? The
Mm-hmm.
Pacers and Knicks have been the more compelling series.
Yeah.
Um, but we finally get a Jason Tatum, dominating game. 33 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists. Jalen Brown, 28 points, 9 rebounds. Drew Holiday, 18 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, right? Drew Holiday finally shows up offensively. Um, and it's unfortunate, right, if I'm a Cavs fan, because you have Donovan Mitchell really, putting the team on his back offensively. 33 points, 6 rebounds. Evan Mobley, 17 points, 8 rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like kind of the story of these playoffs, especially for the Cleveland Cavaliers, has been Darius Garland, and not the
Mm-hmm.
right ways, right? 15 points, shot 6 for 15 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like don't get me wrong. The Cleveland Cavaliers are outmatched in this series, right? It does not surprise me that they're down 2-1. However, if you just take all that away, the bigger issue is the fact that Darius Garland has been a shell of himself ever since they gave him that contract. Right,
Yep.
this year in the playoffs, he's averaging 14 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. That's just not going to cut it when you talk about a guy that's making over $100 million, right? Especially compared to last year, where every single one of his stats have gotten worse, right? Like, I believe he was averaging closer to like 21 points per game last year in the playoffs, and obviously in less games. But you're talking about a guy that offensively is supposed to be your second best player, and he's just not showing up. Like, day in and day out, game in and game out, he just does not produce. And it'd be one thing if he was producing, dishing out a high level assists or wherever, not really looking for a shot. But he's, as you can see, 15 shots. That's a well enough shot attempts for you to be productive, and he just wasn't that. And if as long as Darius Garland plays like this, like it's gonna get really hard if I'm either in that front office or if I'm a fan to keep this backcourt tandem of him and Donovan Mitchell together, man.
Yeah, for sure. And uh, just to voice furthermore, like disappointment. And when you look at the Cavs right now, right, and you look to who's the scorers of the team, right, and that should be obviously Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and Karis LeVert. Let me just say this: Karis LeVert has been outplaying Darius Garland since the whole playoffs. I'm gonna be honest, right? We look at the I'm pretty sure he's been the main guy in general who's been behind Donovan Mitchell, who's been leading them in scoring, being big coming off the bench, right? I'm not sure what the specific stat line for him is, but it just seems that way, right? Darius Garland, I don't know. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what's going on with him. He's taking shots that he's not supposed to take, but he's also not making shots that he should make, right? And so, it was just really disappointing to see throughout the whole playoffs, just see that, like, we were all waiting for that next step that he's going to take, right? But he hasn't taken that next step to be that, getting a guy in Donovan Mitchell should have been able to, like, enhance his, like, better shot attempts, or just like how to better, move the ball around, right? But it just hasn't come to fruition, right? But then, you look at I'm just going to say, go to the Celtics. They just have more depth, right? They just have more firepower, right? You look in every single, like I said, it goes back to like their starting lineup and stuff like that. And, from 1 through 5, especially when KP is healthy, obviously he's not healthy right now, but I'm just saying that all those guys can not only score, but they can also defend. You can't really say the same about the Cavs. They have a specific role for a reason, right? And so the Celtics, Tatum, he showed up when they needed him most, right? 33 points, like you said. And that's the one thing I really wanted to see from Tatum, where when things aren't going perfect, is he able to lead the team and be that alpha and be like, yo, give me the ball and I'm gonna lead this team to a victory, right? And I seen that for the first time these playoffs, right? And obviously this, I mean, I never really had a doubt in Jason Tatum or the Celtics to not do it, right? And like you said, I'm not surprised that they're up 2-1, but it's just that, like, we wanted to see a different side of the Jason Tatum, in my opinion, right? Because we all know that he's getting hate for sometimes around there, right? And sometimes it is unwarranted, and sometimes it is warranted, right? So the Celtics 2-1 up, and I think it's gonna come down to like maybe 5 or 6 at that point. Oh, your mic is off.
To kind of piggyback off of those thoughts about Jason Tatum, like I 100% agree. Like I would say I'm a fan of Jason Tatum. I like his game, but don't get me wrong, I do kind of understand some of the criticism that comes his way, especially when you
Mm-hmm.
see a younger guy like Anthony Edwards doing the things that he's doing. Right? We wish that Jason Tatum would that he would have been that guy. Right? He's had the early career success, the continued earlier success, and we would just really wish that he had that level of aggression.
Mm-hmm.
But to kind of give him a benefit of doubt, it's understandable, right? We're talking about a guy that has been drafted by a historically great organization, right? Where pretty much his entire career he's been surrounded by talented guys. It's hard for a guy in that position to 24/7 demand the ball, especially when the formula is working, right? Like the however you want to cut it about Jason Tatum, whatever, the Celtics are winning games. So
Mm-hmm.
if we value winning in this sport, how can we tell a guy to go against the grain even though his team is winning? Again, do I wish that he was more aggressive? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, if the Boston Celtics are ending the night in a W,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to ask for more.
Yeah, for sure. And it goes to the point when I talked about Jason Tatum, in a pod, I think 2 pods ago, when I said that I think one of the things I do respect for him is that he's made the greatest sacrifice out of all the superstars in this league,
Yep.
right? Where like he has to do less. He's given up less in order to the team to do more in a sense, right? That's why you see Derek White go off. That's why you see Jalen Brown go off. You see sometimes Drew Holiday or KP go off, right? There's only so like I said, when you have a lot of superstars or you have a lot of people that can do really well on offense. It's kind of similar to football, whereas like there's only so many balls to go around, right?
Yep.
It's only so many plays or shot attempts you can get, right? And so you just have to give up a little bit there for everybody to do better as a collective, right? And then that I mean Tatum, shout out to him, man. So yeah, but that said, let's move on to the last series that we haven't talked about yet, and it's Mavericks and Thunder. Uh, so we're gonna recap game two and game three because game two we were recording I think in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah, let's just say game two, game three, PJ Washington.
Yep.
PJ Washington. He has been a man on a mission, and boy was he needed. Man, you talking about game two? He had 29. He had 29 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, two steals, 1 block, 7-11 from three. By the way,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then come back again, game four. Similar, 27 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, right? And he's been balling. He has been balling. Like and I'll say this personally that Luka, he's not been playing well.
Yep.
He's not, right? And you ask about the others. Normally, we would just shit the bed. We would shit the. I'll be honest. Like even when obviously before we had Kyrie, everything, right? We didn't have the necessary bench pieces or role players to generate offense when Luka's not playing well, right? And so seeing PJ getting his, seeing Kyrie actually in game two taking a different, I guess, approach to the game where he only got I think 8 shot attempts and scored 9 points, right? But he had 11 assists, right? I think that's the main thing that people don't really talk about. Where we all notice Kyrie as the great ball handler, the shot creator, right? The guy that he will get flashy plays and highlights, right? But we don't talk about enough how his distribution of the ball is really really improved ever since he came to the Mavs. Where
Yep.
he's taking a different role in the sense that he's also being a mentor, right? And while becoming a mentor also comes with the responsibility of taking sacrifices in a sense that that if your shot is not going, you get and you want to find a way to impact the game, you do it defensively and finding the right people open, right? And that's the one thing that's been not only just carrying us, in a sense, and that's been our defense. Our defense, I don't care what anybody says. In these playoffs right now, you can argue we have a top three, top four defense right now, right? And Kyrie and Luca, people that aren't known to be having great defense, they showed up on defense. They've shown up. Like Luca, he's been banged up. Let me just say, he's fighting through three different types of injuries and still getting hurt throughout the game. You know, every game so far you see, Luca's knees, bleeding, tights, everything's ripped up and everything. His mouth starting hitting the floor face first and everything, right? And this is the physical series. This is a very physical series,
Yep.
and honestly, Game 3 it kind of got me going, honestly, because like it was a different type of officiated game where the refs they just let things happen. They just let the players play, and honestly, if they were consistent with that, right? And normally, they aren't, but since they are, I like how it was officiated in the sense that like it's like a '90s type of style, basketball where there ain't no soft fouls around here, like Luca, I know you're going to complain, but get back on the defensive end, right? And it showed. It showed, right? So, the Mavericks they shot really well from three from both the last two games. And then the story for the Thunder the last two games, they're turning the ball a little bit too much. They're being too, I guess, like shy centric in a sense. They're always trying to find shy. It's like we're shy, we're shy, we're shy, right? Instead of like taking things slowly, one at a time. And like Jalen Williams, I think he needs to be more aggressive. Like when he's able to be aggressive, I think he's being getting the shots that he wants, right? But like I get it. You do depend on the bench players, right? I will say that Isaiah Joe and
Mm-hmm.
Wiggins as well. They've been playing really well in this series, actually,
Yep.
right? But at certain times of these in these playoffs, right, they're not going to show up every single time,
Yep.
right? You can't depend on that. Jalen Williams, for what you can say, he's the second best player on the team,
Yep.
right? And so for him to have like bad shooting nights, that's not that's like you cannot have that at all, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
what are you going to depend on Lou Dort to shoot some threes while he just hustling on defense,
Yeah.
right? And that's another play I want to come to. And Lou Dort, for as much as frustration I had throughout the game about calling Lou Dort what is he doing and stuff like that, I get it. That's his game, right?
Yep.
He is a type of guy where he will guard your number one player and make him fight throughout the whole night. Like literally throughout almost the whole night, he picked up Luca from full court,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just how it was, right? That's the only way to stop Luca in the sense that like yeah he is dealing with injuries, but that's not my problem, right? He's still going to do what he do. So I credit him for that. But the Thunder they need to find ways to get other guys going, especially Shet. Shet Holmgren, he's been getting it done for sure on the defensive end, but offensively, he's been a little lackluster per
Yep.
se. I think we all know that this is his first. I mean, this is majority everybody's first
Yep.
playoff series, right? So they're young and still learning along the way. But I think in order the next step for the Thunder is for Jalen Williams to be more aggressive and to set plays more for Shet when Jalen Williams is out the game. Like something has to give, right? And if they're able to get them going, the series can be turned on its head top, right? But I think the way it's going right now, I still have the Mavs in 6, right? But like I said, it's going to Game 4 right now. If the Mavs are able to win Game 4, now it's interesting because now the Thunder, who's been they swept the Pelicans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now they won the first game against the Mavs, and they're like, you know what? It might be another sweep. Well, look here now. You got 2-game losing streak, and now you're going on for the third game. If you don't perform then, this is a different type of pressure that the Thunder has never faced before, especially this team, especially and the coach, right? So it's gonna be interesting. How they, handle that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, is the only things I can add. Um, like OKC, they had 38 points in the paint. Dallas had 52. Right. Like these last two games, what has become glaringly obvious is the Thunder have a size issue, right? Because all season long, if I'm not mistaken, they were number one team in terms of paint points. and drives. But the issue with this Mavs team is they have bigs now. They have guys that are, whether they're big, whether they're big wings in a PJ Washington, where it's not so easy to run into the paint, right? Where you have a Daniel Gaffer waiting in the paint, you have a Derek Lively waiting in the paint, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where that completely alters the entire offensive, philosophy. And to your point, I definitely agree. J Dub, he has to be more aggressive. He has to take it upon himself and say, listen, I have to help Shea. Like, I have to
Yes.
help him because nobody else is really a shot maker, or should I say
Mm-hmm.
a playmaker. Everybody else is a play finisher, right? Whether
Mm-hmm.
it's catch and shoot, whether it's lob, like so. From Jalen Williams' perspective, okay, I have to put the ball on the floor more. I have to be more aggressive, and I have to force these guys to play defense on me because the reality of the fact is they're going to put their best defender on Shea, and rightfully so,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm going to have their second best defender, or however they want to handle it. I have
Mm-hmm.
to take that matchup and force them to change what they're doing because right now what Dallas is doing is working. So I have
Mm-hmm.
to throw a monkey in that wrench. Uh, um, so up to one. This is a very close series, and like you said, this next game can go either way. But we all know the you go down 3-1. There's only one man I know, what I mean, that his big one. But this is
Mm-hmm.
one of those things where this is a very young team.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, one of, if not the youngest team in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be some growing pains. That's the reason why I picked the Mavs against the Thunder in this series. I just feel as though the Mavs are just a more veteran team. They're a team that have been in the playoffs. They're a team that has been here. I feel like the only player on this team that doesn't really have real playoff experience is PJ Washington and obviously Derek Lively, right? A rookie and a guy that has pretty much been on a bad team for his entire career. So everybody else, whether it's from Luca making Western Conference Finals, whether it's obviously Kyrie winning a championship, and all these other guys, they've been in deep waters before. So I feel like these last two games have shown that kind of gap in veteran presence, even at the coach level, right? So I feel like it's going to be very interesting. And again, if the Thunder are gonna fight back, they have to win Game 4.
Yeah, 100%. And just really quick to mention, but when you talk about Derek Lively, he has obviously not getting this is his first year. He's a rookie, right? And I wanted to credit him a little bit, and I did. I didn't mention it earlier. You know, late in the third quarter, and actually in the fourth and into the fourth quarter as well. Actually, no, it was the fourth quarter. They tried to do a hack of Lively, if you guys didn't see, right? And he missed his first two free throws, right? And most rookies, they would just put their head down and just like it is what it is, right? And just had go on a stretch about that, right? But I love seeing our teammates, just PJ Washington, Kyrie, Luca, just encouraging him. Like, hey man, don't shy away from them fouling you. Just take that as a compliment, right? Taking they want to foul you because they think that you can't shoot free throws. Prove them wrong. You've been working in the gym. You've been working hard on these free throws, man, right? And after that, he shot 4 for 4 from there, and he
Yep.
ended the game off with let me see, he had a total of, let's see, I wrote it down here, seven of eight. I'm not 7 of 8. 7 of 10
Mm-hmm.
free throws, right? And so that's really good for a center where it's like big moments and those free throws down the stretch. That was really big, right? So I want to credit him as as a rookie, and he's had his downsides on offenses and not finishing the play rather on the lobs and stuff like that. But that's what you go through. You're a rookie, right? And you always talk about Wemby, Shed, and even Brandon Miller from the Hornets, right? But Lively, he's definitely an eye to keep on the lookout for. He has huge potential, and this playoff is just only going to make him better.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've as basketball fans, we've been privy to some amazing games so far, some amazing series so far, some amazing performances, right? So you know, we definitely are looking forward to both, a couple game fours, couple game fives, and we'll definitely, be right back at you guys with another video on that. But, I just wanted to shout out you guys because we just recently got our new, brand new most viewed
Mm-hmm.
video on our channel. It was our Chargers and 49ers draft recap. I believe the last time I checked, and I'm about to check right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Let me see. The last time I checked, it was at one. Yeah, so we're at 154 right now. Surpassed I believe our Eagles video was our previous. So
Yep.
you guys went crazy on that video. If you guys haven't seen that video, obviously, feel free to check that out. If you have watched that video, try to share it. Let's see if we can get that video to 200. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
sir.
It's a lofty goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially for a channel that has less than 30 subscribers. But
Mm-hmm.
listen, we're having a lot of fun with this, and we're hoping you guys are enjoying the ride. So we'll do definitely have again all our social media links down in the description below. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yes, sir. Peace out.